Hello again, Andy with Handy Andy Handyman, Handy Andy on Demand. And we are out looking at a project in Woodstock today. And it's fun when we get these calls. This particular customer has seen a ton of our videos and called us out really because he did some research and got frustrated with everyone telling him that he had to replace all of his siding. And that's what contractors want to do. And it's like everything else. There's a time and a place for everything, but here he can do some repairs and then hand paint this LP siding, caulk it up properly, and he'll be in great shape for 30 years. He'll have to repaint maybe once every 10 if he hand paints. And you can alternate it. If you're keeping the same color, you may hand paint it once every 10 years and then spray paint in 5 and then go back to your hand painting. But here when you're looking at siding, we talk about this all the time. So this is LP siding, which is compressed wood chips and glue. And when you look at the bottom edge of this thing, it's pretty uniform all the way through. The wave that you see in that siding over towards the fence, that's the framing. It has nothing to do with the siding. Houses are very poorly framed in Georgia. And so most of the siding can be, all the siding on the left side of the house is good except for this bottom piece right here. Replace that bottom piece. But the rest of it's good. And what you're paying for in paint is, I don't know how well you can see it on the side, but here on the bottom edge, you'll see 3-4 lines underneath there if you look real close. And so when we get to 5 to 7, 7's max, you got to replace the siding. So we're not there. And this is what's been costing him. If you look, you see these recessed nail heads right here? They've never been caulked on most of the siding. So our guys will come out when we hand paint this house for him. Really right now in the marketplace, we're about the same price as what the spray guys are charging, which blows me away. And we're using Sherwin-Williams duration, which they are not. And if they are, they're going to thin it to spray it. But see all those recessed nails right there? They'll get caulked all the way through. So this side's good. On the window here, this comes up all the time. You can see the sill, the nose right here is this piece that you see the rot right here. We have to replace that all the way around. This upper piece right here on the right window, that's called a mullion, and we do so many of those. The left one is rotted too. I missed that when I walked it earlier. And then the bottom sash is a little rotted in this window. You can see the wrinkling right here, so we can repair that as well. But we'll replace the mullions, and you see this top window over here needs a mullion as well. We've seen window guys come out, and the customer, we did one a few weeks ago, the customer had rotted mullions all over the house because the house had been spray painted, and then when the painters scrape the paint off the window glass, they break that bond of the paint to the wood to the glass of the mullion, and after a few years it rots out. And that's what happened to him. He had contractors come out and tell him he had to replace all his windows. Nothing wrong with his windows. Now this customer has single pane windows. We would never replace these windows, just paint them and caulk them and take care of them, because if you make this house too airtight, you're going to have mold and mildew inside the house. So we can replace windows if you want it, but we usually talk people out of it. Here, before they bought this house about a year ago, the homeowner before them, the seller, came in here and they had a lot of rot right here. And part of the reason they had a lot of rot, we'll show you in a minute, is they've got gutter helmets up here that nobody ever told them they got to clean that upper edge or they don't work. So the homeowner was scratching his head wondering why all this water's coming off his house in the rain, so the gutters aren't really working anymore. So you just got to clean that edge. Gutter helmets, gutter guards are great for keeping debris out, but you have to maintain them. There's no such thing as maintenance free in exterior home repair. So here you had a contractor that came in here and just replaced the siding that you see it's painted, and that's old LP. And so you can see in the last year what happened to the rest of the siding this way. It's all rotted. You can never replace, there are different dimensions. So you see the dark edge in that gap where those two boards came together. The hardy plank, and actually this is not hardy plank siding, this is Nichi siding. We only use hardy plank, and there's a reason for that. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But here you can see that gap, so they just tried to fill it with caulk. The LP is thicker, so you always got to replace the whole board. We're probably the only contractor that came out to see this customer and said, you don't have to replace all your siding. But that's just us. People do what they want to do. You can see with the flashing right here, see where it's cut short on the edge right here. So that's been part of his problem, that when the gutter's not working, the water gets behind here, it runs down that siding and rots everything underneath it. And because they spray painted, and actually at some point in ownership, someone hand painted this siding, that's why most of it's in good shape. You don't see a lot of rot on the siding up here. When you get to his bay window here, we get these all the time. No one will fix that window right there, but we will. That bottom sash is rotted. It's not weather tight, that's true. But he can just put a piece of foam underneath that window in the wintertime and seal it down. And once my brother makes that repair, the window's dropped a little bit, he'll actually be able to straighten that out a little bit. The other thing that we hate to see is somebody came through here, and if you look at this trim piece, it's got a horizontal cut to the frame and the brick mold, and that'll just rot out. He's got so much water coming off this edge right here. So we did to the corner board, they just put putty in there. So we'll replace that. I hate to do it because this is original decking right here. What's not original is the second half of that screen porch, and you can see the condition of the old wood where it got covered over. It's a nice shape. But out here where it got weather, they never stained it. If you'll alternate staining every year, do 1 year your decking, next year railings, you'll never have any rotted wood. This is old growth wood because it makes me cry to have to rip it up and replace it, but the customer doesn't want to use it. So we'll replace all this decking right here, and we'll do this top tread right here. The decking's 5/4 board, the tread is a 2x8. See here, they replaced all this trim around this window in vinyl, and you see how there's gaps in the corner right there? Where do you think that water's going? Inside, rotting the framing of the house, like it did that corner board. Inside corner board's rotted right there. Inside corner board on the left side over there is rotted. They put putty in it, and this bottom siding is Nichi, so we'll replace that. If we do the decking out here, even though he might someday enclose this and put a roof over the area I'm standing in, we'll put a custom cut and beveled sill plate right here to keep the water out. I don't think I saw any flashing under there, so you get a lot of water in this area. That's why they didn't put the gutter helmet here, because it really wouldn't work. When you get up close to this gutter helmet, look at the edge. You see all the debris in there? It's hard in this light, I know. We see the green and the black going down. When we see the streaking on your gutters, you just know it's not working anymore. See how pronounced it is as it gets down towards that downspout? The downspout's hardly getting any water anymore. Good thing is we can fix it all. That's the beautiful thing. You know, a lot of our customers, we do stuff in stages. You just have to be patient with us. I'm out 3-4 days a week working with my crews, plus selling jobs. We stay busy. We got a lot of guys working here. When you come to this corner right here at the meters, they cut back that corner board and sprayed foam underneath it. We'll repair all of that. You can see what happens with Nichi right here. See that piece where it got wet? That's Nichi Hana. Just crumbling and falling apart. We never use the stuff. Just won't use it. Here at the garage, his siding over here is the worst, and it's a chunk. So we're going to replace from that window nose up there down on both sides of the garage doors, and we'll use grain hardy plank. The rest of his siding, if we can get in here sometime later this year and hand paint it, it's really not too bad. I think we can save it. Worst case scenario, he may have a few more boards down the road above these windows that'll need to be replaced, but most of it's pretty good. The window nose right here, I can't really zero in it too well, but you'll see some roughness behind that light. So that's all rotted out too. I know we're the only company in Atlanta that fixes rotted wooden window sashes with real wood. Nobody has the skills to do it. COVID hasn't affected us that much because we make our own trim, and nobody does that. So right here, this vertical piece on the garage door, we'll go ahead and custom make that and replace that for him. When you put Bondo in, which is what a lot of painters do, and I won't say some of the names of the custom, you know, high-end painters that use Bondo to repair rotted wood, after a couple of years, it just rots out again and it causes more damage. You can see what happens with the LP. They try to spray some foam here, and I don't think you'll mind me doing this because it's already peeled, but see what happens with it? It's just wood chips. It was already peeling up here, see? Nothing you can do with it gets to that point. But the rest of his siding, seal that bottom edge with a good elastomeric paint like Sherwin-Williams Duration, and you're good to go. The siding above the roof line over this front porch right here, this all needs to be replaced. There's no sheathing behind it, so the guys will have to install some sheathing first and then replace all these upper pieces here with hardy plank. The front siding's good. This window's just peeling. I think it's in okay shape. But this drip sill right here, that's custom piece. So we'll make that out of pressure treated wood and go ahead and replace it. It's rotted out. But most of his house, surprisingly, is in good shape. Somebody came up here on this chimney and they replaced all the siding with Nichi. Chimneys just get abused. So you don't want to put Nichi on chimneys or dormers. You can use it other places of your house if you want. For some reason, they replaced all this with Nichi, and we're going to leave that. Although he may have some issues down the road here on the roof side of it. The trick to installing siding, and you'll see our guys when we do it, we will feather the bottom edge of this siding where it hits the roof line with clear elastomeric sealant. so the moisture never gets to it. This piece is LP, so we'll go ahead and replace that piece. The bay window's in decent shape, but the siding's starting to go, so we'll replace all 3 sides of that front bay. And then you'll see why we don't use Nichi right here in a second. So this chimney is only about 1.5 years, 2 years old. And you look in the back corner right here. I don't know if I can get to it. There you go. See right in there? That's all crumbling and falling apart. See the upper corner? It just gets so much water that's the drawback to Nichi siding, is it just doesn't hold up as well as the Sherwin-Williams stuff. We've been doing this a lot of years, Atlanta. 28 years and counting. It's hard to believe I'm that bloody old, but I am. My brother and I run this thing with a bunch of guys. We love doing it, and this is such a beautiful house. I get why they bought it. It's a great lot. They have so many things they can do to this house. They did get a nice new roof. They did a good job on it. It's not estate shingles, 3-tab, but they did put drip guard all the way around, which helps. This little dog ear right here in this corner, you can see where people cheat, and so it's hard pulling it up. But this triangle is actually made out of 3 pieces of wood that they pieced together. It rotted right here where the caulking failed, and so we'll go ahead and replace that with 1x12 back primed and sealed. And the thing to remember, any of your trim pieces, it's got 6 faces, and painters only paint what they see. If you back prime and seal all 6 faces and then paint the rest of it, it'll never rot out. If it does, we'll replace it for free. And again, you see how dark this edge is? So if you got gutter helmets on your house like this product, a lot of times the roofers will install them. Just have us come out and hand clean that edge once a year. It's not very expensive. I'm Andy with Handy Andy. We pretty much do everything. We've been doing it a long time. Just be patient. We've got our new on-demand division to do the little stuff for you. I've got 4 or 5 guys in that group running around doing little small projects. You can catch us at 770-912-2829. And sometimes you can catch me, Andy, at 770-265-9017. See you at the next house. Bye for now.